I never thought it would happen to me. As a 40-year-old man in Scottsdale, Arizona, my life felt like a dream I had personally built, piece by painstaking piece under the desert sun. My name is Logan Taylor, and the sprawling landscape of saguaros and red rock mountains was the backdrop to my success. I owned a chain of car dealerships, each one a testament to years of grueling work, late nights poring over spreadsheets and early mornings shaking hands. I was a self-made man, a millionaire who started with nothing but a dream and a fierce determination. My home, a modern marvel nestled against the McDowell Mountains, was where I would often sit on my patio, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and purple, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. For 12 years, that gratitude extended to Jenna, my wife. She was beautiful, vibrant, with a laugh that could fill any room. We met young, grew up together in a way, and built this life side by side. Or so I thought. My best friend Brian was my chief operating officer. We'd known each other since college, through thick and thin, through the lean years when I was barely making ends meet, and the boom years when we were opening new dealerships every few months. Brian was more than just a friend. He was family. He was my right hand, the man I trusted with my business, my secrets, my very future. My world was solid, built on foundations of love, trust, and hard work. I had everything a man could want, or so I believed. My days were a comfortable rhythm of early morning workouts, strategic meetings at the office, occasional rounds of golf at one of Scottsdale's pristine courses, and evenings spent with Jenna, sometimes just quiet dinners, sometimes entertaining friends, always with the underlying hum of contentedness. We were planning a big trip to Europe later that year, something we'd talked about for ages, a celebration of our 12th anniversary and all the good things in our lives. I truly believed I was living the American dream, a shining example of what dedication could achieve. Then came the day the dream shattered, splintering into a million jagged pieces. It was a Tuesday, a regular Tuesday, the kind you don't remember until it becomes the hinge of your entire life. Jenna had gone out for a yoga class, leaving her laptop open on the kitchen counter, a habit of hers. She'd always been a bit careless with technology, and I often reminded her to log out of things, but she'd just wave me off with a smile. This time her iCloud account was open, showing a stream of messages. I wasn't looking for anything, not really. I was just grabbing a glass of water, and my eyes drifted to the screen. A new message popped up, a notification from Brian's iPhone. My first thought was a work-related message, maybe about a client or a new inventory shipment. But then I saw the words, "Counting down the hours until Logan is out of town next week, babe. Babe." My stomach dropped faster than an elevator in freefall. I clicked on the messages, my hand trembling so badly I almost knocked over the glass. And there it all was, laid bare, a sickening tapestry of deception woven over 18 long months. Pet names, inside jokes, plans for secret rendezvous, complaints about me. Brian, my best friend, calling me a clueless idiot. Jenna, my wife, agreeing, mocking my trusting nature. It was like watching a horror movie where the monster was wearing the faces of the people I loved most. The messages continued, detailing not just their affair, but something far more insidious. They were talking about money, large sums. "Did you manage to transfer the latest chunk to the Caymans?" Brian asked. "Just did, baby," Jenna replied, "another 100,000. Logan is none the wiser. $680,000. $680,000 skimmed from my company, from the dealerships I'd built with my bare hands, transferred to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. They were stealing from me, systematically, ruthlessly, while looking me in the eye every single day." The betrayal was so profound, so absolute, it made my chest ache with a pain that was more than just emotional. It was physical, a crushing weight that stole my breath. I felt like I was drowning in my own living room, surrounded by the very things they had helped themselves to. My mind screamed, begged me to confront them, to unleash the fury that was boiling inside me. But a colder, more primal instinct took over. I sat down, my hands still shaking, and began taking screenshots. Every single message, every incriminating detail. The rage was still there, but now it was a silent, simmering volcano, waiting for the perfect moment to erupt. I felt a profound sense of nausea, but I kept going, compiling the evidence. My first few days after discovering the truth were a waking nightmare. I moved through my life like a ghost, a hollow shell pretending to be Logan Taylor, the happy, successful man. Every touch from Jenna, every casual remark from Brian at the office felt like a fresh stab wound. I wanted to scream, to break things, to expose them to the world. But I knew that wouldn't fix anything. In fact, it would make things worse. My initial instinct, fueled by desperation and a lingering hope that maybe, just maybe, I was wrong, was to subtly probe. I started asking Jenna innocent questions about our finances, about her day, about Brian. I'd watch her eyes, trying to see if there was a flicker of guilt, a telltale sign. She was a master of deception. She'd smile, look me straight in the eye, and answer with such convincing ease that it almost made me doubt myself. It was a cruel game, this internal charade, and I was losing. Each time she lied so effortlessly, the knife twisted deeper. I tried to bring up loyalty, mentioning stories about betrayal and other businesses, hoping to see a reaction from Brian during our work meetings. He'd just nod sagely, offer platitudes about trust and dedication, even offer to shake my hand on how good our partnership was. It made my skin crawl. This internal struggle, this desperate attempt to find a way to reconcile what I knew with the people I thought they were, was a failed effort in itself. It only cemented their treachery and made me feel like an even bigger fool. Every passing minute I spent in their presence, knowing their secret, feeling their fake affection, chipped away at my soul. It was a self-inflicted torture, and it was making me sick. My sleep was tormented by vivid nightmares, and I often woke up in a cold sweat, the images of their messages flashing behind my eyelids. Food lost its taste. The vibrant colors of Scottsdale seemed muted, the desert sun cold and unforgiving. I realized then that there was no fixing this. There was no going back. The Logan they had known, the trusting husband and friend, was gone. He had died the moment I opened that iCloud account. What was left was a new Logan, colder, harder, driven by a singular purpose: to dismantle their lives with the same precision and ruthlessness with which they had dismantled mine. The failed attempts to find an easy way out, to salvage any dignity or hope, only strengthened my resolve. I had to let go of the past completely, to shed the skin of the man I once was, and embrace the architect of their downfall. This shift in mindset was terrifying, but also empowering. It was the moment I stopped being a victim and started becoming a strategist. The first step was to secure my company. I spent weeks working from a separate, secure office, installing new software, changing access codes, quietly bringing in external auditors to conduct a forensic analysis. They found the patterns of the money skimming, the digital breadcrumbs leading straight to the offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, exactly as I had seen in Jenna's messages. It was all there, ironclad proof. While the auditors worked, I set up a sophisticated sting operation within the company. I had hidden cameras installed in key areas, listening devices in certain offices, and even planted some bait documents to see if they'd take it. They did. They walked right into every trap, their greed blinding them to the subtle shifts in the air. I recorded conversations where they openly discussed their affair and their scheme, detailing how they would siphon more funds, congratulating themselves on their cleverness. Every word was a nail in their coffin. They were so arrogant, so convinced of their invincibility that they didn't even bother to whisper. My first move was to deal with Brian. I called him into my office one Tuesday afternoon, the same day of the week I'd found out. He walked in, smiling, confident, asking about the golf game I supposedly had planned for us that weekend. I sat him down, my face expressionless. "Brian," I began, my voice calm, almost detached, "we're making some structural changes to the company. We're downsizing, streamlining our operations. And unfortunately, your position as COO is being eliminated." His smile faltered. "What, Logan, what are you talking about? We're booming. This is crazy." I just looked at him, my eyes empty. "It's a restructuring, Brian, effective immediately. We'll pay you your severance, of course. Just pack your personal items and hand over your company phone and laptop." He tried to argue, to plead, but I had a security guard standing by the door and a human resources representative ready with the paperwork. Brian was escorted out of the building, bewildered, angry, but utterly powerless. He called me later, furious, demanding an explanation, but I didn't answer. I just let his calls go to voicemail. That was the easy part. Next was Jenna. The divorce papers were served at home without warning the very next morning. It was a complete shock to her. She burst into tears, hysterically asking what was happening, what she had done wrong. I just handed her the stack of papers, my face like stone. The lawsuit I filed against her was a masterpiece of legal strategy, a financial straitjacket so tight she couldn't sneeze without violating its terms. It was a claim for every penny she had skimmed, plus punitive damages, plus a claim on her personal assets, citing fraud, breach of trust, and corporate malfeasance. My legal team, the best in Arizona, had crafted it meticulously. The papers detailed every offshore transfer, every incriminating message, every piece of evidence I had gathered. There was no room for denial, no legal loophole she could exploit. She called me repeatedly, pleading, crying, then eventually screaming. She tried to deny everything, to claim I was crazy, that it was a misunderstanding, that Brian had manipulated her. I just listened, saying nothing. Her reputation, once pristine in our affluent Scottsdale community, was destroyed overnight. The lawsuit, the claims of embezzlement, the affair with my best friend, it all spread like wildfire. Social media lit up with gossip, whispers in the country clubs, pointed stares at the grocery store. Her circle of friends evaporated. Her life crumbled before her eyes, and I watched, detached, feeling nothing but a grim satisfaction. The final blow to Brian came swiftly. Once he was out of my company, with no access to his old networks, the evidence against him for embezzlement was undeniable. I worked closely with the federal authorities, providing them with all the recordings, all the financial trails, every single detail they needed. They moved fast. Brian was arrested at his new, small apartment, which was a far cry from the luxurious condo he used to brag about. The news reports were damning, his mugshot plastered across local channels. He was charged with multiple counts of embezzlement and fraud. He eventually took a plea deal, facing significant prison time, and emerged from the legal process with a federal criminal record that would follow him forever. His career, his future prospects, his very name were in ruins. He wouldn't be working in any executive role ever again. He wouldn't be trusted by anyone anywhere. His future, the one he had planned to build with my money and my wife, was gone. As for Jenna, she lost everything. The house, the cars, her designer wardrobe, the expensive jewelry. The lawsuit stripped her of every asset she had. There was no alimony. She moved into a tiny, run-down apartment on the outskirts of Phoenix, a stark contrast to her life of luxury. She was forced to get a minimum-wage job, something she had never done in her life, to even scrape by. The last I heard, she was struggling, isolated, and a shell of her former self. Her future, once bright and effortless, was now bleak and filled with the consequences of her choices. But I wasn't finished. I wanted to send a final, undeniable message, a permanent reminder of their treachery and its cost. I leased a massive billboard space directly across from the apartment complex where Brian had been living before his arrest, and where Jenna now found herself whenever she visited her new lawyer, who ironically worked in the same general area. It was a prime location, visible to thousands of commuters every day. On it in bold, stark lettering, I had a single quote emblazoned: "Betrayal is expensive. Enjoy the view." Beneath it, smaller but still clear, from Logan Taylor, that billboard stood tall, a monument to their destruction and a silent testament to my resolve. I would often drive by it, feeling a profound sense of closure. It wasn't just about the money or the affair. It was about the utter violation of trust, the deliberate and sustained malice. They took my past, they tried to take my present, so I ensured they would have no future worth living. And that's when the unexpected happened. The revenge, while satisfying in its execution, left an unexpected void. I had spent so long consumed by anger, by the meticulous planning of their downfall, that I hadn't considered what would come next for me. The silence in my sprawling house, once filled with the phantom echoes of a happy life, felt deafening. The satisfaction of victory was tinged with a strange hollowness. I had taken their future, but what about mine? I expected to feel triumphant, whole again, but instead I felt empty. The truth was, the betrayal had not just taken from them, it had taken a part of me too, the part that trusted, the part that loved without reservation. The cynicism was a heavy cloak. I started withdrawing, working even harder, but finding little joy in it. The chains of dealerships, once a symbol of my ambition, now felt like a gilded cage. I was a millionaire, but I was also alone, adrift in a sea of my own making. I realized that my revenge, while just, had turned me into something I didn't recognize, something cold and unfeeling. Then, one evening, sitting on my patio, watching the familiar Scottsdale sunset, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Sarah, my younger sister. She lived on the other side of the country, busy with her own life, and we hadn't been as close as I would have liked, especially since I had been so consumed with work and then with my marriage and its dissolution. "Heard you've been through it, Logan," her message read. "Just wanted to say I'm thinking of you. If you ever need anything, anything at all, I'm here. No questions asked. Just a brother and sister." It was such a simple message, but it hit me like a revelation. In my single-minded pursuit of vengeance, I had forgotten the true relationships, the real connections that mattered. Sarah, who had never judged me, who had always just been there. I had been so focused on punishing the disloyal that I had forgotten to nurture the truly loyal. I called her immediately, and we talked for hours, catching up, laughing, sharing stories. It was the first genuine laugh I had in months. She invited me to visit, to clear my head, to spend time with her family, away from the dust and ghosts of Scottsdale. I went, and that trip changed everything. Away from the constant reminder of my past, I started to heal. I saw my niece and nephew grow. I rediscovered the joy of simple things, of being present. My sister helped me understand that while revenge could close a chapter, it couldn't write the next one. Only I could do that. I began to invest my energy not in dismantling others, but in building something new, something that would benefit more than just myself. I started a foundation in Scottsdale, using a portion of my wealth to help local entrepreneurs, especially those from underprivileged backgrounds, providing them with mentorship and seed money to build their own dreams. It was a way to redirect my ambition, to use my experience, even the painful parts, to foster trust and opportunity in others. It was a quiet, steady work, far from the dramatic confrontations of my past. The true twist was not about more money or more betrayal. The twist was that my revenge, in its very finality, exposed the hollow echo of my own soul, prompting me to look inward and discover a different, more profound purpose. It led me to reconnect with my sister, to build something truly meaningful, something that brought me a peace and satisfaction far deeper than any fleeting triumph over my enemies. I learned that while some betrayals can be avenged, true healing comes from within, from choosing to build a new future for yourself, one brick at a time, founded not on anger, but on genuine connection and contribution. And that's when I learned some betrayals, though they leave scars, can never truly destroy you unless you let them, and that some futures are forged not despite the past, but because of it.